Simon & Schuster Audio presents You Will Not Kill Our Imagination, a memoir of Palestine and writing in dark times, by Saeed Teebi. Read by Andre Ali. For my family. 1. Fear and bodies. A chasm of time ago, in the spring of 2022, I moved to the suburbs. My family was fledgling. After my first marriage ended some years earlier, I began a second one in 2019. Then came a baby girl the following year, at a crest in the pandemic. We had outgrown our rental in the Junction area of Toronto. The sedate rhythms of Oakville suited my wife, a committed suburbanite. When we took possession, we removed our masks and breathed the quietude. Our new house had an extension that flooded it with light. There was a ravine behind the fence of our backyard. We had a kitchen island that on its own was larger than the whole kitchen of our previous place. The house also had a staircase, exposed all the way to the top. Dark varnished treads and handrails with wrought iron balusters. The staircase rose in a seashell whirl up to a skylight, which cast a gentle illumination down upon it. When you entered the house, you could see all the way up to the second floor. It was easy to think, how many years before my daughter descends this staircase in a wedding dress? Our early days brought predictable excitements and apprehensions. The revelation that we had gone so long without hearing a fire engine howl. The glee swirled with anxiety about filling all this new space. Decoding which of the neighbors were friendly and which needed to be treated with delicacy. But a feeling I did not anticipate was that I would be terrified of my own second floor. The staircase. I kept thinking about that staircase, how high and how exposed it was, how a thing could fall from up there, and how much that thing could suffer in the brief journey. A small fragile thing could plummet, carom against a hard railing, and hit a tread or two before landing, probably in a form unlike the one it started with. I kept thinking of my daughter, 18 months old at the time, wriggling and bucking in my arms as we passed by the staircase from our bedroom to hers, or vice versa. How unsteady my footsteps can feel as I'm carrying her. How clumsy and unsafe are my arms. At first, I dismissed these as just intrusive thoughts. I am mostly immune to irrational agitations of this nature. This is owing less to innate poise than to a kind of lifelong recklessness, and a tendency to forget the hurts I sustain, big or small. I simply do not dwell on things that could injure me or others. When I do, I seem to have a higher tolerance for danger than most. But the staircase was a different matter. I was obsessed with the thought of my daughter falling from that height. With her fragility, it could be fatal. I obsessed most over how I might be the cause of such a fall, that somehow I would trip while holding her, or that my hands would spontaneously spasm. The visions, for that's what they became, took on a certain thickness in their character, an omnipresence. No longer were they confined to short, imagistic blurts when I passed by the staircase. They now came to me when I was on my living room sofa, reading or watching TV. They came to me when I was driving to work or taking a walk, trying to conjure words for my writing. They were vivid and sustained enough to be viscerally hurtful. Sometimes they were so overpowering, I'd let out a small, involuntary scream. The problem got so severe that I talked to my wife about it, which I did not do lightly. She was already possessed of an extensive catalog of phobias that I hesitated to add to. But all she did was nod that, yes, we do have to be careful around the stairs. There was no terror in her eyes at all. By now, the visions had become laced with impossible elements. My baby daughter would, on the way down, be torn and mutilated in ways that were beyond the capacity of a simple fall. Sometimes there would be flames enveloping her. Sometimes this small person that I adored. Sometimes she would be thrown. The visions were
Sample complete. Ready to continue?